Welcome to my apartment at North 6th, just west of Gateway. Here we go.
Okay, ready to open door.
Thank you so much for the visit. Thank you, Tom, for coming and being interested in everything. I have one more thing to show you. My grandparents got married in 1904, and her brothers gave them the knives and forks. This set here. And we always called it the sterling, but it turned out it's silver plate. But then in later years, my dad's aunt and cousin gave us more pieces, and some of these are sterling. So I grew up, we would use this fairly often for when company came on Sunday or holidays. Oh, I bought these from the antique store, City Antiques on 3rd South when she went out of business. So these big soup spoons. And some of these are also DI finds. Actually, these spreaders were something inexpensive that my dad's cousin bought and she later gave us. I found you can polish with baking soda, and it's easier on your hands. So, like these spreaders were very dark with tarnish, and I got most of it off. So, yeah, these are, here's an expensive spreader. I love this one.
Yeah, very nice.
Thanks for your interest.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you letting me come over to see your residence, and would love to get a few additional shots before we wrap up. I'm gonna walk through the living room here real quick, and we can wrap up at that.
Okay. I'll put away. So there's one more thing set to show. I preset some quilts on my bed, and I don't sleep with all these. They're just here to be displayed. The first one, this is a baby quilt made by a neighbor in where I grew up in Logan. We called her Grandma Clark because she was our neighbor's grandma. She pieced this out of pieces of flannel and other fabric she'd pick up from Moto Day down on Main Street. This is a pieced hostess skirt that my aunt made in the 60s or 70s. And notice how she repeated some of the fabrics, and there are different stitches edging the different sections. Aunt Marion made this. This quilt was a surprise to an outgoing bishop in Logan. The Logan 21st Ward was organized in 1955. He was the first bishop. And my mother was the first Relief Society president. So when he was released, the Relief Society made this quilt and listed the names of all the members of the ward around the perimeter. And then it's all elaborately quilted. Which brings us to Sister Lacey's mother's silk quilt. This is probably 1920s. So they lived in Oregon, I think, and my cousin thinks that these are all Japanese silks, because she said, I've never seen anything around here like this. So the trade wasn't really opened up. A funny story, my aunt met Sister Lacey on the beach in Oregon, and then stayed in contact. And Sister Lacey said, when you come next time, I have some things to give you. Well, she just handed them a bag that said Mother's Old Silk Quilt. On the way back to the motel, Aunt Marion said, well, Joan, you can have the quilt and Terry can have the dishes. And when they opened it up, they burst out laughing. You can imagine what this looked like in the 1960s when everything was bright and bold like this. And so they didn't like it, and they gave it to my mother, who 15 years later, or 20 years later, had it quilted for my wedding. So the backing is 1970s, and some of the patches. But this is quite a collection of silk. My mother pieced this quilt top from polyester. This quilt will never wear out, I'm sure. And when she died, I found the quilt top and handed it to a friend here who does machine quilting and forgot about it. So she surprised me with it for Christmas. This is machine quilting. Here's her signature, Queen Bee quilting. And she did beige to go with the backing. This final quilt was made by my great-grandmother, who died as a fairly young woman. She was only 41. But she was born here in Utah right after the pioneer movement. So this is from the late 1800s. We used it as a picnic quilt, and that's why it's got stains on it. I saved it from being thrown away about 20 years ago. And I got instructions on how to reinforce and restore a quilt like this using standard materials that are made for that. And now we get down to my regular bedspread.
Cool. All right, thank you.
Sure. Did I talk too long?
Nope, think we did good. So, and ready to sign off.